driver interviews, pit action, industry news. We're bringing you everything that fuels the adrenaline-pumping world of dirt track racing. Buckle up now. You're sitting with the Slimy Bastards. Take it away, Jason.
Alrighty, welcome to the Slimy Bastard Podcast Show. We're back on airwaves, I should say. It's snowing up here in northern Iowa. It's colder than hell, and I'm glad to have on with me Jason Neal from Mind Incision. And you're all the way out there in Denver, Colorado. I'm pleased to have you on. I've heard a lot of good things about you. I've researched a lot of your music over the last couple of weeks since I came across you and everything, but I must say I really, really dig what you guys are doing. It's very, very cool stuff. So welcome to the show, man.
Cool. Thanks, man. It's great to be here. I'm happy to be talking to you.
Yeah. Now you just got done doing some stuff with Mushroom Head, and you're out on tour right now. First of all, why don't we get into that? How was the Mushroom Head tour?
So the Motherhead tour was awesome. It was a completely sold out tour the entire time. We had a great time. The crowds were awesome. We did really well with those guys, and they've become really good friends of ours as well. So it was an amazing tour. Just a lot of fan growth and a lot of growth within the band as well. We had recently, just before that, done a tour in Europe with El Nino and our new friends in Ectomorph. And I mean, we've been on the road for 60 days straight, and it's just been a blessing to be able to continue on the road and do these things, being that we're such a new band. So yeah, everything's been great, man. The Mushroom Head tour was a success. We did really well. We were received very well. Many compliments from the Mushroom Head management side saying that we were, very professional and on point and things like that. And we like to hear those types of things, so it was cool. It was great.
Yeah. And they put on a hell of a show too. I've been around them guys a bunch, even back in the day. They've changed a lot of members over the time since I've seen them live, but I've always loved the live shows that they do. I think they're pretty well underrated for their live shows. A lot of guys don't give them credit for a live show that they do, but I've always liked them. I thought they've done a hell of a job at their live shows and that. So it's pretty cool to hear that their shows were sold out still, and that you guys were actually doing really well with them too. And now you're out on tour right now. You've been doing some stuff with that Tommy Vext, former lead singer of Bad Wolves and that, which I've, keep aside what happened with Bad Wolves and that, but I truly think they fucked up on that deal. I've always liked his voice, and how's that been going?
Yeah, Tommy's a really good dude. He's a good brother, man. He takes care of everybody, and he's just been very graceful with us, and we share a bus and everything with him and his band, and the guys that he has in his band right now are also a part of El Nino. So it's kind of awesome. A reunion that we all just kind of get together. We did share a bus with all those guys because Tommy was out with us in Europe as well with El Nino, doing guest vocals for that tour because their singer couldn't do it. So it's kind of like just coming back to what we were already doing back in August and September. So it's been, pretty easy just getting back into the groove and the swing of things, and the shows have been great, and everything's been good.
Speaking of El Nino, it's funny, Jamie, who actually lined me up with you guys, she's the one that actually introduced me to El Nino when they were on the Roadrunner label. And the first time I seen them was, I think, is the very first Jägermeister tour that was ever done on a Jägermeister tour, with Drowning Pool. El Nino was on it, and that's been back in 2000, I think. But another great live band. I mean, when you got two drummers up there just going to town, and a great band to watch live. So that's really cool that you guys are, in a way, you guys are getting some really cool exposure with all that.
Yeah, it's been fun, especially with the El Nino guys. And my old band, I toured with El Nino as well back in 2012.
Uh-huh.
We did a short run down into Texas and some of the southern states back then. But, to come back and see Dave and Laz again and just kind of like rekindle some of those relationships has been sweet. And you're right. I mean, these shows, I want to touch on that for a minute. I believe wholeheartedly in actually putting some time, effort, and creative content into your live show, because if you're not doing that, you really are just another one of the 50,000 bands out there that just have 5 guys in a band trying to stand up on stage and headbang and make it look fun. And, honestly, I've always had that creative side of me. I don't know if you've seen the video for Left Behind that we did, where we have the monster that comes out with the big fingers, and I have a gas mask microphone that I've patented and created. That whole thing kind of fit right into the Mushroomhead tour, especially because those guys are all masked up, and then they have the cool water drummers, percussionists on the sides, and just it all kind of really just fell together. And now that's become like a staple for Mind Incision, where people are like eager to see the monster come out on stage, and they like every time I walk out with that get up on, man, people just scream. And if they're not screaming because they haven't seen it before, they're in awe, like jaw drop, phone come out, and just start recording. So there's a lot of live footage of me out there with that on, and that particular song is the only song I wear that get up for in this album release. But I can, what I'm going to do is continue to create more things like that for the live visual of the presence of Mind Incision on stage, because it just seems really important to me. And it seems like people grasp onto that kind of, we get more of like a cult following at that point. So it's just been really fun to kind of mash up with some of these bands that are doing things that are similar, So.
Oh, you guys are out in Denver. So like I've been to Denver to a bunch of shows over I should say it's been probably 5-10 years now, but how's the local scene there now?
So the local scene is very saturated, just like I'm sure it is anywhere. But Denver has always had this niche for like 1 or 2 bands make it out every few years, and get to that national level. We're again blessed and proud to be one of those. But the scene is there's a few venues that Mind Incision can play at, and the crowd can be handled at. A lot of the smaller venues, the bars, the pubs, stuff like that, they're too small for us to get up there and do our thing. And not necessarily just for like occupancy, but like stage wise, we require a certain amount of stage space in order to set up properly and get the things done. We've squeezed onto some pretty small stages in Europe and on the Tommy Vex tour. Like we've dumbed it down quite a bit. Our drummer usually comes with like a 12-piece kit. For these tours, for all the tours, we have brought that down to a 4-piece kit and made it very simple to set up and stuff like that. And we do like to use our cabinets still. I know a lot of people are going DI. We have that ability, but we like stage volume. And for the people standing right at the stage bar, I feel like they get a better show if we have our cabinets up there, because you can hear a lot of times the mains sit forward of the actual barricade bar. And so then if you're standing on that bar, you're not getting a stage sound per se, unless they have like a main sitting on front of the subs in front of the stage, which is also sometimes the case. But, we've done a lot of things in order to make the tours happen. But as far as Colorado is concerned, we'll play theaters like Gothic and Bluebird and, Aggie and Fort Collins. There's several that we can be picky because we're from here. So we like to put on a really good show and get a lot of people there. And we typically pull about 400 people when it's just us headlining. And so it's a fun time no matter where you're at.
I always like the Ogden there down on Colfax. I always love that place. Kind of that Gothic theater feel to it.
It's pretty much the same theater, except it has a little bit more space. It has a 1,700 occupancy now because they redid it about 15 years ago. It used to only hold 1,000, but it was smaller than the Gothic by like 100 people. But yeah, they like the Bluebird, the Gothic, the Ogden. They're all kind of the same design, and I think they were actually made by the same people, designed by the same people. So,
one of the bands I was following out there is called Drift Away Dreamer. I don't know if that rings a bell to you or not.
nope.
But anyway, they were kind of a bigger local band there too. And it just so happened that I do a lot of racing podcasting, and one of the guys that I follow around on racing, the lady who runs the race team, or I should say at that time ran the race team, her son was the lead singer of that band, and I never knew it. I just came across them, and then it's kind of cool how that all came together. But no, Denver's a cool music.
Small
What's
world.
that? Yeah. But Denver's a cool music scene. I always loved going to shows there, and I've seen a lot of bands in Denver and that. But when you go around and you're touring around and that, you've been overseas and everything. How's the crowd response been and everything for you guys?
Really good. As far as overseas, I guess we talk about that for a second. It's a little different because, well, everything over there is different. Coming to like transportation, food, crowd response is weird because if they're seeing you for the first time, which they were seeing us for the first time, they're kind of like all right, let's see what's going on. Now, if you ask them to come forward, because they stand back a little bit, you're the opening band, they don't know who you are, and if you ask them to come forward and they come forward, you got them. But if they're like, nah, I don't know about that, man, then you probably don't got them. But we have an affiliate from our management company whose name is Lee Langton. He actually is out in the UK. He came out to the show at the Underworld there in London when we were out there. And I mean, this guy's been doing music for so long, 30 plus years. Same as my manager, Sean Baruch. And he pulled me aside later that night. He said, look, man, he goes, I got to tell you, when you asked him to move forward and you got the entire crowd to come up and pack in, he goes, that's when you knew you had them. And that's what you can bank on anywhere in Europe. And I said, oh, that's really cool. He goes, and on top of that, you guys have a great energetic performance. You got like your stage attire is on point. You got everybody in black except for you and your white vest. I mean, it just looks really good. You guys are killing it. He goes, you're doing a great job. And I'm like, right on, man. Thanks. So
that in a way that goes a long way though too, kind of build your confidence up going even into more shows as you're over there too. And then I had a band called Root Brain on my podcast a couple weeks ago, and it's weird because he was saying over there, like in supermarkets, you'll hear metal music playing. Did you see that at all, or did you hear that?
True, actually, a weird thing is that we were, it's so hard because we saw 24 cities while we were over there, but I'm pretty sure we were in Germany. I don't know what area, but some of my guys went to their Guitar Center. It's not Guitar Center, it's something else, Musica or something like that. And they went over to get some strings and some other things, drum heads and stuff. And my bass player, Joel, he hits me up and he's like, dude, you should have come with us. And I'm like, why? He goes, they're playing our song in the store right now. I'm like, nah. He's all, yep. I was like, holy cow. I go, I wonder if they just saw you guys walk in with your Mind Incision gear on and then like threw it on just to be like, or was it actually just on the playlist? We'll never know because we didn't ask, but I thought it was cool. But yeah, that is true. Going through the supermarkets and everything, it's a totally different world over there. They're not playing elevator music and jazz and even, like soft rock. It's literally metalcore. So
and it's cool to see, really. I mean, because you'd never see that over here. Like, you just can't walk into a Walmart and you're going to hear your song on Walmart radio, right?
No, never.
And it's funny to hear that. But I want to get into a little bit too of some of your past and that. Like, what inspired you, I guess, to get into what you're doing, and who was like the forefront of why you wanted to be a lead singer and do what you did, what you're doing?
Well, I get asked that question a lot, and the inspiration for me was the music revolution in the 90s, just how everything changed so quickly, and then we got into nu metal in the early 2000s. I always wanted to be in a band. I just wasn't sure what I wanted to do, and that stems from Motley Crue, Metallica, Megadeth, Guns N' Roses, and we're really doing it hard in like the 80s and 90s. I had picked up I liked listening to death metal and kind of some of that satanic music like Deicide and Cannibal Corpse and all that stuff, like when I was really young. But I think what really did it for me, and this is I mean, this is truly as truthful as I can be about all this. I think the man that started this for me was Brian Warner, Marilyn Manson. When that Portrait of an American Family album dropped, it was just like my world, my life changed. I mean, it was that and Antichrist Superstar, man. I was like, oh my God, this guy is literally a shock rock, like, lead, like, he's just a monster when he comes to it. Right. So it was so huge back then. And, you know, the fact that he got Trent Reznor on board to help him out with the production and signing to Nothing Records and all that. And in 94, I think it was, and then dropping that cover of Sweet Dreams on the Smells Like Children album. And then like Manson has just been a huge part of my inspiration going forward. And that was the man and the band that made me decide I wanted to be a frontman, a lead singer, a creative person on stage. And so that's where that came from. Now going forward from that, once System of a Down, Mudvayne, Limp Bizkit, you know, all the new metal dropped, I mean, I was already in a band. So like the inspirations from those, that genre specifically, Korn, you know, all that stuff, it just took off with my creativity. And those are the bands like new metal that made me want to be what I have become, I guess, today, you know?
Sure. When you were like starting out and all that, where were you guys all playing in that?
Oh man, we played in like garages and empty warehouses and kegger parties, you know, and campsites. Yeah. And it's like my first band formed in 1999. The band was called Deadless. It was me and a few friends from my hometown, Loveland, Colorado. And we literally, the biggest show that we had was this party that an old friend of mine used to put on called Red Fest. And this was the second one, like the second annual one. I think he did like 7 of them over the years, but the second one we did as Deadless, and it was in like this event center out by the Devil's Backbone, which is kind of a natural area in the town that I live in. And it was literally just like a spot on a floor with like a practice PA and a bunch of people packed in a room, like throwing each other around. Yeah. It was really, you know, old school party shit is what it was. So that's how we started, you know. And then that band lasted till about 2006 in December. We did some pretty big shows. We had a Metal Blade Records offer that we declined because back then we didn't know what we were doing. And we played the Ogden, you know, and we played a bunch of bars in Denver, and we made a pretty big name for ourselves. But that band dissolved in 2006, and then it was the next year that I had put together Arcanium, which actually had some pretty big success before mine Incision was born. So,
you know, there's a band out of Salt Lake City that is running around with called Cryptobiotic. And we came over to Denver a couple different times. I'm trying to think of the name of the band that was there. I know you'd probably hear of them, but I want to say their keyboard sample player was the cousin of Brian Head Welch of Korn. The drummer's name was Pat. Those are the only 2 guys I remember. I think that's what I'm trying to think of the name of the band. It's driving me nuts now. It starts with an S. I know that.
Switchpin.
Yeah, Switchpin. Yeah. Also the Switchpins. We partied there one night. God, it was insane at that, you know, great guys. But
yeah, I know all those guys. Actually, the bass player, Jeff, he's called G-Off. He recently passed away. But,
really?
Yeah, and Pat, I don't know if he's playing anymore. He was playing in a band called Glass Delirium for a while. I'm not sure if they're still doing that or not. And then, let's see, boy, who else is in that band? You know, what's funny about that too is I actually was in that band for like 2 weeks. I went down, I tried out. We were like, all right, we're gonna play this show, and then something happened, it all fell apart. And I was like, you know what, I'm good. But yeah, that Truest Form of Flattery was their big album that they put out, and that's a great album. still, I mean, I listen to it still
Yeah.
every once in a while.
Yeah. You know, it's funny though, and what I'm getting to with this is you take some of these bands that, like Switch Pen, and I'll even use Cryptobiotic. I really like them out of Salt Lake City. There's another band. I mean, there's all these bands that kind of stay under the radar that you don't hear about, right? And from the underground circuit, just from playing local shows and guys that are touring through, and vice versa. Like if you were out on the road, you'd help each other find shows and that in your area, and then they would do the same in your area, right? And you take there's a band out of Portland, Oregon, Northwest Royale, Dome Shots out of Oakland, California. Some of these bands, that would just travel through, and I loved a lot of their stuff, and I thought they could have gone really further than what they did, but unfortunately, they just fall to the wayside, and you never hear that. But for you to see what you're doing now, it's actually pretty cool to see you up and coming with this and what's coming forward in that. And you got more stuff coming with um, um, God damn it, Tommy Vext of Bad Wolves again, right? You got stuff coming in the new year and all that. So going into the new year, what's that looking like for you?
So in the new year, I mean, we're gonna be taking a break. We've been out on the road for 70 whatever days, and then we're gonna be home for the holidays. In the new year, once that comes up, we're gonna get everything kind of situated to maybe write some more music. We do have several things in the works already for next year as far as touring goes. We do have some festivals confirmed already. I can't announce them yet, but we are working ourselves into more of a festival kind of tour situation for next year. So that's what we're looking to do. We do have a couple other tour offers on the table, but we're not sure exactly what those are yet or how they're going to pan out. But definitely looking at doing more touring once we get past the spring. I think in the spring we're just going to kind of settle down and do some writing. We have some equipment that we need to get purchased and upgrade for our live show and stuff like that. So a lot of work ahead for Mind Incision, and definitely no rest for the wicked. I mean, we posted on our Facebook and Instagram probably about a week ago now, just letting people know that we were planning on tours, and it's just blowing up. I mean, everybody's like, "Oh, you got to come here. You got to come back here. I saw you here. It was awesome live show. You guys are great. Make sure you come back. I need a CD." It's insane. So the response we're getting is fantastic. We love all the fans. We are excited to announce some of these things we got coming up. And yeah, I mean, I think it's going to be more of a summer fall touring situation next year, unless there's something that we just can't turn down for the winter. But I think next winter will be kind of our break point again. So
you get into any sports or anything, or what do you do when you're not out on the road and you're, just to clear your mind and step away from the music scene and that?
I never step away from the music scene. If I'm at home, I'm writing lyrics,
Yeah.
writing music and singing and playing and doing all that. I do. As far as sports go, my girl and we watch a little bit of football, but the sports guys are definitely not me in the band. There are the guys that follow it a lot closer than I do, but that would be John and Kyle probably more than I do. But yeah, as far as stuff at home, I like to be outdoors and doing stuff that uses energy, and allows me to breathe the oxygen and not be cooped up, but I do have a studio at my house. So I spend a lot of time in the studio, doing music and lyrics, and I play a little bit of everything. So I got a baby grand piano in my house and do a lot of stuff while I'm there. So
What do you turn on? I mean, what's the most surprising thing that people would be shocked that you listen to? Like for me, like I'm into everything. Like I'm a diehard Elvis fan, hence why I'm wearing Sun Record studio, but I'm a diehard Elvis fan. I love the 60s. I love the, not so much 70s disco shit, but just every genre of music I'm pretty much into and everything. But for you, what would people would say that would be surprised that you are into?
I think they'd be surprised that I like the golden oldies, man.
Yeah. What's your favorite?
I mean, I like the Drifters, Under the
Yeah.
Boardwalk, you know, that
Yeah.
kind of stuff. And I do love Elvis. I've watched every movie he's ever put out, including all the stuff that he did in the '60s and '70s, like those shorter movies that he was doing. I
Uh-huh.
wouldn't say he's in my top, but you know, I like Tommy James and the Shondells.
Yeah.
I like Paul Revere and the Raiders. I like it's just like a lot of that stuff, man. The stuff my parents listened to while I was growing up will always hold a special place in my heart. I guess a
Yeah.
favorite for me would be the Beatles.
Yeah. You know, Tommy James and the Shondells, I actually seen them last year in Okoboji, Iowa. And
No
I
kidding.
got, yeah, I got to meet them and everything. And I got a signed record from my mom. That's actually how I even got familiar with it. And I love all of their stuff. I really do. And I was so happy to see them live, you know, because I've always wanted to see them live. But you know, I think there again, there's a couple songs on there, you know, Crystal Blue Persuasion's been covered so many different times, but I think there's a couple other songs that could be covered that could go huge, you know.
Yeah,
Um Fire in the what's that called? Fire in the Sky or um God, I'd have to look it up, but I know there's a couple of their songs that's like, why in the hell hasn't this been covered? Because it'd be so
there's
heavy,
so
you
many
know.
songs to choose from, man. It's like it's really hard. We've come up with
Uh,
so many options for covering stuff. You know, we decided to go out on a limb on the Mushroom Head tour, and we did our cover of Blind Blackmore, and it was received really well. So you know that it's a newer situation cover, but um, you know everybody's looking for that old school song to make heavy and just kind of bring back to life. I think I Prevail did a really good job with that Taylor Swift song. I
uh,
mean, that literally broke those guys out so hard, and they're so massive now. It's great. So yeah, I mean,
yeah.
we're considering putting a cover song on the next album, but we have no idea what direction we're going yet. So
Yeah. Well, speaking of, you know, Mushroomhead did a cover of that "Crazy" by Seal,
yeah,
and they never would play it live. And I couldn't figure. You know, I've asked when Jeffrey Nufflin was in their band. I always asked him, I said, "Why the hell don't you guys play that live? It's such a great cover." And that, but they just never did.
yeah, yeah. They do a Mushroomhead does a little mashup at the end of their set. It's the last song, and they do a Black Sabbath with a Pink Floyd kind of mashup thing at
Uh,
the end of their. It's pretty cool to listen to it and to get involved in. So yeah, but I've never seen them perform that Seal song either. I mean, I've been following Mushroomhead for 30 years. So
yeah, yeah. No, so this coming up, you got some stuff riding up and everything, and you're doing that. You'll finish up this tour. What you guys are kind of in the midst of doing and all that. Do you find when you're out doing like some of these festivals and how you say you're kind of going to gear down towards more of the festival tours and that, do you find that more is it easier for you guys to do that versus going from club to club, if that makes sense?
uh, that remains to be seen because our first festival is next year. So
Okay.
yeah, in my eyes, I'm gonna say that it's probably gonna be a bit easier of a setup, but I think the rushing kind of constrained time between setup teardown is going to be a little bit uh, more hard because it's there's so many bands to like make stuff happen. But again, they probably have like 15 stage hands, you know, at each festival and all that, so it might come together quickly. I personally can't speak on that yet because we just haven't got there yet.
Sure. No, that's understandable. It'd be cool to kind of see, you know, I mean, you're talking to a mass majority, more people than obviously than what you are in a club, you know. So, um, hats off to you for getting on some of them because they'll just broaden your horizons really, and that's what's cool to see too.
Yeah, I mean, in my old band, Arcanium, you know, we played some festivals and stuff like that, and some bigger tours and all that. Uh, you know, the bigger the crowd, the more fun, the more energetic I am, at least. And then it's just, I don't know, it's a totally different situation. Uh, I love being in front of more people. I played in front of 10,000 before. That was at Dirt Fest 2014. my old band opened the stage for Killswitch Engage and Powerman 5000, the main stage out there. That was a really fun show. For me, it's like when you look out and see a sea of people, and they're doing what you ask them to do. Like you ask them, all right, everybody jump, and they start jumping it. You know, it looks like a wave of people doing this. It's like, man, so fun. So yeah, I can't wait to get back into that kind of thing. I mean, that's certainly the next steps for Mind Incision. We are looking to expand our touring capabilities to a bigger room now, and bigger crowds, obviously, with the bigger rooms. So we're looking forward to next year for sure.
Well, with that, I'll let you get going. I know you're kind of busy in that, what you got going on and everything, and appreciate your time and coming on to the show and that. Love to have more of you guys on this next year when you get things rolling again. And if you're ever out in the Midwest here in Iowa, Minnesota, and that, love to see you guys live. I've seen a bunch of your videos already, and you're right. Your guys' live shows are fantastic and very energetic, and I'd love to see it live. So hats off to you, and keep doing what you're doing, man.
Cool. Thanks, man. It was nice talking to you.
And with that, I'll let everybody go. Thanks for following, and check us out on YouTube, Facebook, and of course TikTok and everything. And thanks Gary and Tom's Fishing and Guiding Hunting Services. And quick shout out to Jamie and Andrew Spalding for hooking me up with some of this stuff. And till next time, toodaloo, buckaroo.
Pit Stop Motorsports, Dirt Tracks Racing, largest inventory trackside parts service. We keep racers on the track, located in Rock Springs, Wyoming, and coming to a track near you. Check us out on Facebook at Pit Stop Motorsports. And tell Slade Pitt, the slimy bastard, sent you.
Driver interviews, pit action, industry news. We're bringing you everything that fuels the adrenaline-pumping world of dirt track racing. Buckle up now. You're sitting with the slimy bastards.